That's going to be great.
Okay. I'm hoping.
Okay. Let's do it, guys. What If is finished. We're going into Venom 2. We're going into Venom 2. I can't wait. Drnkie, give us... Don't hold back, bro. Get those gloves on. Right. Tighten the laces.
I just want everyone to like set the premise. I rushed out to see this film today. I rearranged my whole day to try and fit this thing in because I'm like, hey, man, got to watch for the cast.
Dedication.
What an absolute fucking waste of my time. What a dumpster of a fucking movie. I can't believe this thing was an hour and 30 minutes, and I still felt like it was an hour too long. I don't know what the hell they're thinking. How do you make movies like this? Who's editing these movies? Who's doing this stuff? This is like okay. If you go back and watch Rise of the Resistance, and the third Star Wars film in this prequel or sequel series, and you're like, this thing moves like this, and you feel like a little disoriented because of it. Yeah. It's that the entire fucking time, and there's no story for you to care about. Literally, Venom and Tom Hardy's character, whatever his dumb name is, they sit there and do nothing for the entirety of this movie until the last 30 minutes. Why are they even in this movie? Why is it called Venom and It should be Carnage and Venom. It's who is this movie for, dude? Who is it for? I don't understand who made this movie and decided, hey, you know, what's Venom going to be like during this movie and after? Are they going to do anything? No. Are they going to have any subplots? No. They're just going to show up and fight Carnage, which was good. But they literally don't have any character in this entire movie. I don't know why Woody Harrelson's doing anything. I don't know why Tom Hardy's doing anything. I don't know why the girlfriend is even in this movie. They take a kind of cool character from the first one and just make her a damsel in distress in this movie. Like, what the hell were they doing there? I can't stand this movie. It is literally the worst movie I've seen in the past decade. It is terrible.
Wow. That's amazing.
2 out of 10.
Wow. Yeah, they literally rehashed everything from the first movie, took out some of the things that would have been positive for it, and then just like threw in a love story out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And like that was the most infuriating part of it. Was I get that the two team up in the comics, but they did not need to be together because that's what creates the problem, which is what they wanted in the plot, which was so annoying because it's like Carnage and when, oh my God, when Venom and Eddie were like, or when Eddie told Venom they're not symbiotic, like they're not in sync. Those two literally are driven together because they want to kill.
They
have no regard for anybody else.
They destroy Cletus's character for sure
entirely, and it's literally the Joker in the sense. Like it should have been like if they were going to do this type of love story, it should have been Joker style, where he didn't care. He wouldn't care if Carnage was like, get the hell out of the way, and knocked her out, and was like, I can do this myself. You know, that would have been much better. But like, I get it. Like he's getting insulted by the fact that Shriek is using her abilities, but because of the fact that there was a love story, we feel something for Cletus. Fuck Cletus.
Oh, he's a serial killer.
Shit.
Yeah,
exactly.
Oh, it's crazy.
Sorry for the excessive language, but
never apologize for that.
No, and that's one of the things that like you were saying that always like that was one of the characteristics of Carnage. Is the fact that Cletus Cassidy fully, willingly, from day one, accepted the symbiote into his system and said, yeah, let's do it. Like, we've seen the trope in other cartoons and shows where someone accepts the evil bargain because they want the power to do evil deeds. And that's what he is. There's no second thought for Cletus Cassidy here. And for them to, like, write that into this and, like,
It's not we are Carnage. It's I am Carnage because Cletus gave himself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's the story how I know it. You know, Dormammu gives the symbiote to Cletus, and he has to like the symbiote has to accept him, so he has to give himself over. That's the story that I know. So.
That's not in this though.
Yeah, no.
I don't even really understand how he becomes Carnage or what it even means. Like literally, he bites Tom Hardy's character, right?
Yeah.
And like because he draws his blood, he's like, I'm going crazy, and now I'm like I got like a symbiote in me. And then you see him turn red, and Venom's like, oh, he's red, we can't win this. It's like, why? Like none of that is explained. Why he's a stronger symbiote, why he's crazier, why Venom's a little afraid. None of that's really explained. They're just like, oh, he's red. Uh-oh, watch out.
Yeah. Like He could have said
then the way they
that's
set
an
up-
offspring.
Yeah, because it
One thing we didn't
is.
mention is the way they set up Toxin is so fucking stupid.
Oh my
too.
God.
His eyes just start to glow. Like, good one.
The only thing I would say is a positive though, besides that negative, is the fact that they have Toxin as a teaser, because they could have just easily been like, all right, he's Cletus and Carnage are dead, but it does happen in the comics. Like Cletus and Carnage do die.
They got the worst Wahlberg brother to do it though.
Is that a Wahlberg?
Pretty sure that's the older Wahlberg.
I believe that
brother.
is a Wahlberg.
Yeah,
I thought
Donnie,
that was
is it?
Donnie. Yeah.
Oh, was it? Oh man,
That's hilarious.
dude, it was just
I thought it was going to be good, like the way like Carnage is the offspring of Venom, so I thought it was quite intelligent that
it's not actually. That's
he bites
Stephen
him.
Graham.
So
Sorry.
It really?
Yeah, a guy named Stephen Graham.
so
yeah,
that
he's the guy that played.
so much-
He's from Boardwalk Empire. He played Al Capone in Boardwalk Empire for anyone.
You're right. He does look like Donnie Wahlberg.
Oh, I know who you're
Very
thinking
much
of.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. Like, oh, I thought that was Donnie Wahlberg.
I thought the entire time I watched that movie it was a Wahlberg.
Wow, he actually does kind of look like a Wahlberg, and it's the way I think it's the way they did his hair and stuff. But he was
All
in.
the Asians in this film got their eyesight. It wasn't a Wahlberg.
Yeah,
That
dude,
was the real importance of the movie. Is that Donnie Wahlberg?
yeah. So like I don't know. I kind of I had some high hopes for it because I thought it was an interesting spin on how Cletus got the power instead of I wasn't expecting them to like introduce Dormammu or anything like to the series. So I was like it kind of makes sense that he ingests some of his blood and gets like infected by him, and it's like an offspring story. That kind of makes sense,
But having Dormammu makes the post credit scene hit harder,
yeah, true.
and it ties it into it even more.
Right.
Like
They
should have had Dormammu.
And even with that, it's like conceptually it works, right? Having Venom, be the reason, biting him or whatever, he gets the Venom symbiote and whatever it is. Like it makes sense. It's just like they don't really explain it. They don't take time to like really show you. Oh yeah, that's his offspring. It's just like there's one line about it, Like
Yeah.
I
one
ain't never
line,
tasted blood
and
like that
that's
before.
it. Right,
like-
and then he's like, Venom's like, oh, I'm scared of him, which I'm surprised I could hear because I don't know who the hell was doing the voice work for Venom or who was in charge of editing it. I could not understand Venom for like a third of this movie. There's a lot of really long sentences from Venom. It's not just like little one-off reactions anymore.
Yeah.
And I could not understand what he was saying a lot of the time. I was like, what was that?
Need
What did you
subtitles.
say? Like,
yeah.
Well, that was one of the bigger problems, is that in the first Venom's voice was much better than the second one. The first one was really deep. It was menacing. It was like troublesome. The second one is literally just there to make you laugh.
Why the fuck
Yeah.
did
And
they
it
change it? Why
I
did
don't
they
know,
change
like because if you listen to it, like if you listen to the first one, it's like Eddie, like it's
Yeah.
really deep.
Yeah.
And then this was like, you say eat it, I say it. Like it's almost like Louis Armstrong style mixed in with like low raspiness, like
Yeah.
extra low raspiness.
I hear
And
there's
honestly-
a scene with like a nightclub or something. It sounds cheesy as hell. He's got like glow sticks and shit on. Like,
Yeah.
I thought that was a joke. I saw like pictures of it and I was like, is this like, did someone make this? I was like, is this a joke? That's actually a scene in the film. I'm like, oh no, bro.
It's
It
because
is
in
a
the
joke
comics
of
they
the
did
movie.
separate.
Yeah.
Like they did separate at a time, and that's part of the Carnage startup, is that they separated. Eddie's in jail with Cletus in the same cell as Cletus.
mm-hmm.
And
Would've worked better.
and when he comes to save Eddie, part of the symbiote snatches off and gets and ties to Cletus,
Mm-hmm.
and that's Carnage. That's in the original comics.
Yeah.
In the TV show, it would have still worked to have Dormammu in there, like the whole bite situation that still could have been in there, but it didn't have to be like, oh, I took Carnage from there. It could have been a bite, and then immediately you see Dormammu, and then it's like, and then that would have blown your mind from the start. It's like, oh geez, like they're adding stuff from the Marvel universe,
Yeah.
like the MCU, into the Sonyverse because of their partnership, and then like you get your, you see it later on at the after credits, like what more ties in, like, and everything just starts to fulminate better. But this was just like, I get it. Like he took a bit of his blood. We don't know how much Venom and Eddie have actually like assimilated, because they get in pretty deep. Like they're pretty connected to one another, and that's why they can't really live without each other. And that was the whole point. That was another point of the movie that kind of like, but it just didn't feel right. It just, It was.
I don't think it feels right, and I'm not the biggest Venom person in the world, and I love the character. I just haven't read him a lot, right? So I don't know how his character is of Eddie Brock is in the comic books. But one of the biggest problems I see in this film, it stems back to the first one, where they don't set him up as being a real journalist well enough. He's a reactionary journalist. He's like, here we are to expose this stuff. But what they really needed to do was to set him up that his like investigative journalism really starts to solve the problem, and then Venom's there when like shit hits the fan. So when they come to this one and they're like, oh yeah, Eddie Brock is the reason that he's in jail, you're like, all right, like why? Like he's like, oh, he uncovered this. Like, really? Did he? There's supposed to be this connection between Eddie Brock and Cletus, and you just don't feel it. I don't know if it's a lack of chemistry, but you just don't feel like there's a history between those two characters. And so like I really don't care about the setup for the movie in the first place. And then, how convenient is it in the plot that now Venom can just, memorize stuff with photographic memory and take over Eddie and just kind of redraw everything. Like, this is how it was on the walls. Now you can solve all the stuff. Like,
Sounds outrageous, bro.
like what?
They also hack stuff and.
Oh, for fuck's sake, bro! I'm so annoyed. I'm so annoyed.
Like a fucking laptop and
Hey, Jackson.
Oh, bro! Like the Matrix, dude.
God.
I'm so annoyed. What annoys me so much is that I know, like, I have to go see this film, but now I just know that it's awful, and I'm just gonna like probably enjoy my food more than the film, like,
Have
Siren?
2 strong drinks.
Holy moly, the dialogue for Siren is terrible. Like, literally terrible dialogue.
Yeah.
I can't wait to rewatch this thing at home so I can kind of really rewind it and see. She says some of the dumbest things I've ever seen anyone say on screen. And God bless the writers. I'm glad you're working. I'm glad you got work. You're paying the bills. Everyone's got to work. But like, holy fuck! After seeing this film, I should have took a swing at Hollywood. I should have taken a swing and like I can write that. I can write that piece of.
I genuinely think if some of the big boys in like Sony and Marvel actually just listen to this fucking podcast, I think we come up with some better ideas than half the shit that they're trying to pump out lately. Like, it's crazy. Let's talk about the after credit scene, because this is something I know a bit about and I can actually be involved in the conversation as well. What did you guys think of the after credit scene? I think it's like been the only selling point of the entire movie. Like,
all right, so like just to kind of set it up, right? You get to the mid-credit scene, and Eddie Brock is sitting in a hotel room in like some, third world country, a lot of neon lights and stuff around you. Venom's talking to him about all the stuff that like over the 800 billion light years.
Is he on the run?
All the stuff they've seen. He's not on the run, but he's kind of in hiding. Think kind of like the Hulk.
Yeah.
He mentioned earlier in the movie that he wanted to have wind in his hair and his sand and toes in his sand.
He wanted to take a break.
They're paying homage to that.
Okay.
He's on holiday.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you're just not there. And so, he's like, "Do you want me to show you what I can do?" And Eddie Brock's like, or what I know. And Eddie Brock's like, "Yeah, let me see this." And then all of a sudden, you hear something happens, like this big thoom. You see the yellow light outside the room, and he's like, "What the hell's going on? Did you do this?" And Venom's like, "I didn't do this. I don't know what this is." And on the TV, it changes. It goes from like this, beautiful Mexican or soap opera to the scene of Jay Jameson from Spider-Man saying, Spider-Man is Peter Parker. That scene that that amazing clip, and that's the end credits scene.
Yeah.
Just
so
to set the stage.
What I heard about it was so apparently they're saying that the shit going on outside the window is actually Doctor Strange and Peter doing the spell. And that's what we're seeing. So you're seeing the effects of that actually happening, and that's them getting pulled into the MCU. And I think it's quite interesting because apparently this is kind of what I've heard of breakdowns of it and stuff. So when he jumps up and he sees Peter Parker, it's like the symbiote knows who Peter Parker is. It's like he kind of knows him already. And what a lot of the kind of theories are there is that when he's speaking about, he says he has all these memories and like information from thousands of years that he wants to kind of
the hive mind.
Yeah, the hive mind. Yeah, so like they're saying like the hive mind could potentially have multiversal information. So this Venom could actually know what happened in the Raimi universe, for example, and that's how he's met Spider-Man already. Which sounds very interesting to me. And then it kind of makes a little bit of sense when you think about it as to how this version of Venom wouldn't know a Spider-Man, technically. Eddie Brock has never met a Spider-Man, but at the same time, this Venom kind of replicates some of Spider-Man's abilities in a way, without him ever actually meeting a Spider-Man, if that makes sense. So, one of the main kind of problems I've always had with Venom is the fact that, there's no connection to Spider-Man at all, and that's just ridiculous for a Venom story, because Venom, the symbiote attaches to Spider-Man. Yeah, he web swings. He's a stronger Spider-Man. He has all of the abilities of Spider-Man. He can cloak the spider sense and everything. Like, so, always what annoyed me and always what puts the bad taste in my mouth with these movies, these Venom movies, is the fact that there's no link to Spider-Man. And I think if they can actually turn around now and say that there actually is a link through the multiverse, it kind of maybe might make future projects shine a little brighter. But I will not be holding my breath on this movie, like, because I think, from what you guys have said, I'm gonna fucking hate it. Like,
it's horrible.
Yeah.
I would say them connecting it, the end credit scene was really, really cool. Shout out to the people talking through it behind me. You guys are awesome. Love you guys.
Legend.
I just like it's cool. I am excited to see Venom and Spider-Man on the screen together again. It's always a good time. But like, is this the Venom I want to see in the MCU? I think the MCU could have done a better job with their own Venom. I think Tom Hardy's a really fine actor in this one. I actually think he's the only good part about this movie is his acting and his scenes where he's dealing with Venom who isn't there, right? So he's just like doing the scenes by himself, right? But again, it's just like the character of Brock isn't that great of a character. This Venom isn't that great of a Venom, in my opinion. And so like, it's like we're bringing these two to the MCU. Like, why couldn't the Spider-Man 3 just been their own Venom coming and like us doing our own Venom story? It's just...
I would prefer that so much, and I think what I would love to happen, I think we meet a 616 version. I've said this already. We meet a 616 version of Eddie Brock, who will be the real Eddie Brock, and he somehow ends up meeting Venom and maybe getting a bit of a symbiote, like, infect him, and then we get, or maybe a bit of I think what would make maybe more sense is that, first of all, the symbiote, the Tom Hardy version, infects Tom Holland, and then that version infects the 616 Eddie Brock, and then you're telling the story properly the way it should be told.
Okay.
I just can't imagine Tom Hardy and Tom Holland having crazy amounts of chemistry on screen. I don't know. It just seems like an awkward duo. So I think what you're saying there works for me if they introduce, like you said, 616 Eddie Brock instead of us just taking this other Eddie Brock.
I think in real life, Tom Hardy's been kind of gunning for this for a long time. Like, he's wanted this for a long time. He seems like a genuine fan. He kind of strikes me like a bit of a Tom Hiddleston. Like, he's very involved in the projects, very like kind of loyal to the character and stuff. And like,
look what they did to Loki.
Exactly. Well, I think that does. Fair enough. But I think at least the actors are into it, and I know Tom Hardy's been putting up like teasers and stuff of like him eating Spider-Man and stuff like that. Like, and it's fun, and I think he would do a good job. But I don't think he should be the MCU Venom.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Unless unless maybe it's like, because I know in the comic books, Venom the symbiote Venom attaches itself to Peter Parker during Secret Wars. That was when the symbiote first made connection with Peter Parker, and that's when the black suit first arrived. So I would be interested to see if we do a few bits with Tom Hardy's Venom. Then when he kind of fucks off back to the Sonyverse, Tom Holland goes with them for a while, does a couple of Spider-Verse movies or whatever, and then when it comes to Secret Wars, Tom Holland goes back to MCU, but the Venom symbiote goes with him. And then during Secret Wars, you've got a symbiote version of Peter Parker. And then after that, comes back to Earth, probably takes Miles Morales with him. And then the symbiote comes with him and then attaches to Eddie Brock. And then it's like, oh my God, another Venom. I met one of these before in a different universe and blah, blah, blah. But it's a better one. And it's one that's more like Peter. He's more of a Spider-Man. Because then you can bring in the whole cloaking of the spider sense and the webbing and all this sort of shit. because like Venom's webbing is way stronger than Peter's and stuff. So
Yeah,
like there's all
the
those
current
obstacles.
Venom they have acting kind of like a Hulk almost, like just a brute instead of anything close to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I am just really extremely annoyed because these two movies haven't been seen by my girlfriend, and now Venom is required viewing for the MCU, so I'm gonna have to sit through both of these movies, Venom and Let There Be Carnage, again,
Yeah.
which I just cannot wait to do. Let me tell you, time well spent.
Hey guys, this is Finto. Thank you for checking out the video. If you like what you hear and you want to hear more, the link for the full episode of the podcast is in the description below. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Bye.